there's no blueprint, right? There's like, I look at it like I'm one of the bigger marketing and branding creators, but there's a chasm between me and Gary Vaynerchuk and Alex Hormozi, people that are like this huge like next generation of that, like the Seth Godins of the world.
Yeah.
And there's nobody in the middle.
Yeah.
And so you're like, cool, your blueprint is very different. They all did this in a different generation. And so you don't have anything to look to. There's no map. And when you make the map, or at least for me, it's like, I think this very tactical, here's what this natural next step is, when in reality, you do a lot better like really swinging for it. If you are like, I'm gonna be the best at X, that's no longer, or I'm gonna do 5 years of experience in X, that's no longer gonna matter. It's almost gonna be commodified by the time you get there. Like the ball keeps moving. And so it's like, how do you put yourself in, whether it's startups or whether it's a role that you're like kind of too big for you, out of your depth at, or whatever it is, like, how do you get ahead of that? Seems to be like the most critical thing.
Today's guest is Oren John. Oren has worked in just about every space you can imagine. Tech, aerospace, cannabis, consumer products, clothing, even toys. He started as a graphic designer, worked with brands like Red Bull, and then went on to lead marketing for multiple startups and Fortune 500 companies.
You build your time, you do a lot for equity, especially when you're working at startups and whatever, and it just doesn't work out. And I had that hit like again and again and again. And it's funny, I've had friends that have had big wins and big acquisitions. I've had like some small wins. And then just some brutal, like we had a company got bought by a public company, and before our lockup ended, the stock went to zero. And I had like close to $2 million in there. Like, there's like things like that that just like crush you, and like you put all your time in, you get your equity, you do your thing, and then you become so caught up in someone else's bubble. And that was a big part of why creator life was appealing, where it's like at some point you have to grab control of your own destiny. There is no television show, property online, like that you're reading anything on, that is getting as much eyeballs or has as much impact as short form and long form social media content. And and all those eyeballs that are still there are just going to shift over time. And you kind of watch it. You can see, oh, your parents were reading the New York Times. Well, now they're watching a geologist on YouTube and paying for his retreat. Like that is happening. This shift is moving. And with that shift is an immense amount of dollars and attention. And so, but then you have to think about, how are you replacing that?
This is Creator Commerce, where the most successful creators break down how they turn content into commerce. If you're a creator and ready to become your own CEO and own your own audience, your revenue, and your future, keep listening. Oren John, welcome to Creator Commerce.
I'm super excited to be here.
Thanks for being here, man. We really appreciate it. We always like to start these conversations with a question around like, how do you explain what you do to people outside of your industry? Particularly you, and we'll get into it, given your background and stuff, but how would you do that? How would you explain what you do to people outside your industry?
So this changes, as you can probably imagine, like every 60 days, I'll try to test a new strategy. But nowadays, I do tell people just straight, I'm like, hey, I'm an influencer in marketing and branding, and then also, do that same work for a number of companies. And that's been the easiest one, just kind of get it right out there. Everyone understands the word influencer. You're not trying to do creator, X or Y. You say marketing or branding, then it kind of has some credibility to it after. And that's worked out pretty well.
Why influencer versus creator? Like, why?
I think it's easier for people to understand. I think right now, you get into the nuance of people on social media. It's like, oh, creator versus this or that. But then at some point, if you're just meeting someone new in business, it's just like, all right, influencer. I have a lot of followers on the internet. And then that leads to these other things.
Okay, cool. And not entrepreneur either, because there's a huge element of entrepreneurship in what you do.
And I used to try and say that, but then it's like trying to explain to people that aren't super deep in entrepreneurship, like I have this web of, I have 7 companies, and I have these, and then you just sound insane. And so I've just kind of been like, you know what? I'll save that for the level 2 conversation.
No, I totally get it. That's great. Speaking of the level 2 conversation, for me, when I was researching what you do, the journey has been fascinating. Like, corporate work, individual work, creative work, brand work. Like, can you describe kind of how you got here and maybe some steps along the way that the audience could really learn from people who, it's not linear, it can be all sorts of different ways, but like you landed where you are and all the success you've had? I think people would be really inspired by your story.
And so I think I always like to start off that I didn't start making content until I was 37. So it's like, everyone's always talking about when is too late or too early, and like it is never too late. It's kind of way to look at it. But so I started off as a graphic designer. I worked on agency side. I worked in marketing positions in brand after that. Eventually worked my way up in like retail forward brands. So brands that sold in Best Buy, Target, Costco, through the marketing positions up to VP, SVP of marketing, like marketing leadership.
So were you doing like a content marketing, brand marketing?
What kind of stuff? Like, I went through all of it. Like I started in design, then I went into content marketing. Then I was really retail focused, like product marketing, support, actual, like then running full teams for kind of retail support. So that's everything from e-commerce to actually like, to your paid channels, to SEO, to website, to running design teams and content teams. And so basically every piece you can imagine. It starts with being good at one, and then being, I think the reason I was able to graduate into more management roles is being, really passionate about like nurturing creative talent, and like creating those environments and being the conduit to explain to leadership what people need and why it matters. And that being a skill set, which is led to being good as a creator as well. So worked my way up through marketing, did more entrepreneurial things after that. And at one point I was the president of a decent sized company. And it was an operational role. I was running sales teams. I was running distribution, trucking, warehousing. I was like, I never want to do that again. Once that ended, I was like, I want to go back to marketing. And I had been out of it for a year or two and was realizing the last time I've been in it was still, Facebook and Meta ads were at their peak. Retail support was a lot different, a lot more boots on the ground. And I just realized I didn't understand organic social extremely well. So I started making content to help understand that. And it was really hard. My goal was to get 5,000 views, and that took me like 50 videos.
50.
Yeah, 50. Took a lot. And my wife is definitely like, oh, you're making content at this age. You're just like making TikToks at night and like they're not very good. Like what's going on here?
Wait, so sorry, you were making this content for your own brand, not for the company you're working at.
So I was just doing it to learn. I was like, hey, I'm going to crack this on TikTok. If I want to be able to manage people that do this,
very cool.
I got to be able to be decent at it. And then once it started going, it was like the first couple of videos that got 1,000 views, and all of a sudden I had a brand deal. It started to escalate. And then I was doing the work and create at the same time, which is complicated and probably its own conversation. Now all the way to, okay, I was just a creator and now I'm a creator and I work and do entrepreneurial stuff as well.
How long did you do that for when you were doing the content and working full time?
Yeah, about a year and a half. I think, it was somewhere between a year and a half and 2 years.
Okay.
And that was complicated, right? It's because it was really good at the beginning because you're understanding, you're getting the skill. And then you kind of get through the point where, okay, now everyone knows you do it and they're used to it. And that was a little odd. But then it started getting big where like people would be in meetings because they follow me as a creator. And then there's time and money that in judging that side by side and then it gets awkward, right? But I like to tell people often it's awkward the first place you do it. And the second place, it's just from there on in the rest of your life, everyone's going to know going into it and it's going to be a huge leg up for you. Yeah,
that's super fascinating. We have like a lot of customers on our platform. We're very lucky. It's always this really interesting dynamic to talk to them about, or decision making of like, hey, I'm doing this part-time for a while. I want to do it full-time, but I don't know how to do it or when to make that decision, or about like in your thought process, what happened along the way that you were like, okay, I'm going on to this full time? Like, because you're married, you have a kid. Like, how did you guys think through that?
Yeah, so I guess two things. One was the stage of the company I was working at, where it was like there was a point in time where I probably wasn't going to be as useful. And so I was like, cool, you have to look at those opportunities in your career when you do have them to be like, do I want to make a shift in this? And what does that look like? But then the second was just fiscal. I was on the side making more money than I made as an executive.
Amazing.
And purely off brand deals at that point. And I was like, okay, this is a different, you think, can I support my family? Can I do this? And I think every creator starts to think, I want to do this full time. I quickly learned, it was about a year of doing that, just doing a creator, that's not, I need the structure. And especially when you're making marketing and branding content, I need to know what's happening. I need to be in the mix. And so then now I have like a hybrid role. And that's, I think a lot of creators, especially if you need to be in the trenches, for lack of a better term, is like, that's the right mix, I think, for a lot of people.
Got it. So maybe one of the things to spend time on is like, for people who are just getting to know you for the first time, like, what have you built? What have you built? What are you building and who is it for? And I'll give you an anecdote. I'm a runner. And so I was looking for different types of shoes. I was like really loyal to Nike. And I can't explain to you the extent to which I was loyal to Nike, right? And one of the dynamics around that was like, I wanted different running shoes. So I'm sure my phone listened to me one time and I saw one of your videos about, are you loyal to the brand or are you loyal to the product? And it was Nike versus Hoka. And I just bought some Hoka shoes and I was like, oh, this is really interesting, like content you're putting out there. So when you talk to people, if you can introduce yourself, like, what are you building and who is it for?
I look at content like a funnel. So I'll kind of break this down in two levels. So I look at like, what am I building for an overall consumer base for the people? And then what am I building for like the real audience, like the people that I think get the most value? And so at the highest level, like I make content that makes people kind of question and understand the commercial decisions they're making, the marketing and branding of the world. I think because of TikTok, because of content, because of the world we're in now, everyone's more conscious of marketing than ever. We kind of follow rebrands and product launches and stuff almost like sports. Like if you were to have an ESPN that was just marketing coverage, like that's how I look at my content being a part of that. And I think that's really interesting. And I love being able to like challenge opinions about that, to spark conversation around that. And then that's kind of the funnel that then leads you into, okay, are you passionate about this, or do you use this in your job? If that's the case, like I want to be the like #1 resource for like truly actionable, like modern creative strategy for that. Like here's exactly what you should be doing that's different than 30 days ago or 6 months ago, because this moves so fast now. And there's no resource for that. There's no way to teach that in school. People have a hard time doing it in companies, but I think I, as a creator, and the methods we have and being in the mix of it can create like the ultimate destination for that.
Yeah. Like give me an example of that. Like if I'm somebody at a marketing company, like, well, why would I like you look at you as like the oracle for like where things are going?
If you're trying to understand all these things that are happening, people are like, you should be on TikTok, you should be on Substack, you should be on TikTok Shop, whatever. And you can then go listen to somebody to say, hey, here's this thing that's happening right now. Here's how these companies are using it. And then here's a playbook for how you would do that in X business or Y business. That's how I basically break down almost all my content, right? It's like, here's this idea, here's who's doing it well, here's how you could do it. And then you can be like, all right, I just saved the time of having to research this and evaluate this, because now I could say, okay, I fit these parameters or not. If I did want to do it, here's my playbook I could go talk to my boss with. And I just think that it's, and because I have all the traditional marketing experience, and I'm now doing this for all these different interesting companies, I just have a unique perspective for it, especially because I know I'm going to build this like opinion to put out there for the internet.
Do you focus on a specific platform, or do you try and do omni-channel? Like, how do you think about where you put your content out there? Because a lot of our customers, some of them are more interested in written content, so they're focused on like Twitter or LinkedIn. Like, how do you think about yourself?
I try to be really wide. I think of it like content TAM. So
nice.
I've applied a lot of, I was in product marketing forever, and product dev, and so I think of it like product market fit is content market fit. And then you have your content TAM as well. And so
can you explain content TAM a little bit?
So total available market for content. So for instance, my most popular first style of content was short green screen videos where I'm a floating head talking over images. There are lots of people that watch those types of videos, but not all of them. I personally don't have the attention span to watch green screen creator videos. I can't watch a 90-second person talking, even though that's the content I do. And that's I use that anecdote to say, like, there's some people that will only consume audio off short vlog content. There's some people that want to watch a person. There's some people that will only look at carousels. There's some people that only read. And so if you have an idea, your idea probably translates across all of those. A good video is also probably a good carousel, is a good vlog, is a good YouTube, is a good newsletter. And so it's all about the ideas. And so I'm really like dead focused on an idea. Like one I'm working on right now is called like the aesthetics of power. I'm basically trying to like put together this idea that how companies like Anduril and stuff like that present themselves very differently than like Lockheed and like the past. And even the Army is doing like sneaker collabs. And I'm like, okay, that's changing. That's an idea I have, but that's not like one green screen video. That's also a carousel and like a full long form video and an art direction toolkit for people that are thinking about, you know, that audience. And so I think that like putting your ideas in the most places, if you have the resources to do so, is the way to go. Where I think most people mess up is that they don't have that content market fit to start. They didn't get their one type of message or channel to really resonate before they started thinking about more.
Got it. That's super fascinating. Like, because a lot of our customers are like, they're almost verticalized on one content area, but what you're describing is a bit of like, here's an idea and I'm going to cut it up into the right format that resonates with each like social media platform to make sure that the total addressable market of the content I'm putting out there is as large as possible. And then when you combine that with the funnel, like, how do you think about that into your like actual business? Like, how does that work?
The one thing I think about, and this is something, it's always kind of, I feel awkward referencing Hormozi now because like he's become this like big, you know, stereotype thing. Hormozi, but so he had this thing where it's like, you should feel uncomfortable with how much you give away, which like really spoke to me, where I'm like, I look at it like the more things that I give away, the more ideas I introduce to people, the more value I drive for them, whether I get any value from it or not, like the more good things are going to come back to me. It's just like a magnetic way the universe works, like at one level. But then I look at the funnel as I introduce people to these concepts. They know me as a person that's into that. I might make them laugh. I might make them think. And then if you don't ever make a step down, that's fine. But the middle of the funnel content, like that content I make for that audience, I try to get lots of views, right? That's the goal there. And then the middle of the funnel content is like, how do you take action from that? That's how you build affinity with me. You go, hey, this person did something that I tried at work and it worked. That's my entire goal there. I want you to share my stuff in your work Slack. And I want you to take action from it and have it work. And great, and that's going to cut that funnel down. I don't get much value from that. Brand deals start to overlap with that. Because I can be like, here's how you use a brand. And then the real bottom of the funnel there is like, okay, whether you're purchasing something from me as like a service, or you're purchasing like a program, or you work with me at some point in the future, or even it's just building my personal brand to a really tight connection, like that's where that ending value is. And I know that like sounds almost ambiguous, but that end result, like the wider that funnel is, the larger that end result goes down, and you're generating value for people the entire way.
That's fantastic. it is like, to your point, different revenue parts make sense for different segments of that. So the top of funnel might be AdSense or if it's YouTube,
and I don't
whatever.
monetize it at all.
It's just like build audience, right? And then as you bring people down, a brand deal makes more sense for the middle. In the bottom, maybe it's like digital products or something like that, a membership or a community.
Exactly.
And I think that like funnel approach and that like deliberate kind of decision making around, well, this matches with this and this matches with that. I think a lot of creators would benefit from that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'd say like I have like a process when I'm doing social work with clients that's like basically the same exact thing where it's like, hey, you have a funnel and you have what I call pillars. But the funnel is like for Instagram, it's like every week I'm doing X amount of top of funnel, X amount of middle, X amount of bottom. And it's usually like a 3-3-1 or something like that, 2-3-1. And you're just shots on goal. It doesn't work every time. But having that approach gives you a real reason to make content. Also makes it okay for stuff not to work. And like that's a huge thing. Every brand's like, oh, we want virality in every post. It's like, yeah, but what about the post that achieves your objectives? What about the middle of funnel? So I like to think about that. Same thing with YouTube. I might only put out 4 a month, but it's like, all right, 2 are top of funnel, 1 is middle, 1 is bottom. And I think it's just a good approach. And then you have to test your way through those.
So many fascinating things to talk about here. Like, how do you think about, like, what is your tech stack around this? Maybe like talk about that. Like, how is your business structured from like who are you using, what are you using it for, and how do you think about that?
So I use a lot of Notion. So I do a lot of like, at the end of the day, what I do for my own self to make my content plan is creative strategy. What I do for the companies that I work with is also creative strategy, right? So a lot of that operates out of Notion, and it's a big master Notion. Notion isn't perfect, but it's good for this. Where I have what's called a toolkit, which is basically every reference I've ever had or made, every piece of content I bookmarked, whatever, goes in the toolkit and it's tagged. So I can go pull up launch content. And I have like a brick of launch content, that kind of thing. And then we then tag out tasks and asset lists and all those things from there, like across everything, and then build toolkits basically. And then besides that, like that's basically the core of everything. And then when it comes to like things that are sold and whatnot, I have an Asana board with, it could easily be done in Notion, but with my videographers like to be in there. And so there's like a team that works through that.
How big is your team?
Of 7.
7 people, great.
And then when we do things like our programs, like that's in Kajabi and Slack.
Okay, cool. Very cool. When you're thinking about the content you're building or what you're putting out there, how much of it is like original ideas that you have and how much is guided by your community or guided by your audience? And how do you think about not the tension between those two things, but the balance between those two things?
So it's about 50-50 because I think the way I come up with content ideas is I make notes throughout the week. And so I have a big running doc of just ideas. It's like 1,000 things in there now. And it will come from something like this. You'll say something and I'll be like, that's a video idea. So it will come up and I just constantly putting that down. It could be a comment, it could be a conversation. And so I will constantly be adding those. And then I have these like, almost like principles of like, okay, I really like to think about like what aesthetics mean for purchase or like how product functions as marketing. These kind of like ideas. Well, I'll be looking for things in the current world about to like, craft, but I don't really have like a split for that or anything. I just kind of build that master list and then see like what I'm excited about making.
Well, think about Kajabi. I mean, we love having you on. I think you've been on for only a couple of months and a great success so far. Like the Cut 30 is kind of what you've been building on Kajabi. What was the inspiration behind that? And like, why is kind of one of my questions.
And so I was working with 2 other creators. It was, look, you end up in this position when you are a creator where you're like, do I make info products or do I not make info products?
Right.
And
info products are like digital products.
Courses, programs, communities,
totally.
and then what do you do on there? And so I had 2 friends who are also creators, Colin Lanforce and Alex Garcia.
Oh, nice.
Who, I'm always a person, I never want to do something just myself. I love having partners. My newsletter, I have another creator I'm partnered with on that. My management's super involved in my content, even like I don't work as a solo consultant. I work with like a private equity firm that does that. And like I'm part of the team.
Oh, wow.
And so like that's I prefer that. Some people like to be like lone wolf or like to be the person. I like to be like a person with other people with great skill sets. So with this, we were like, hey, we want to do something together. We've all played with this. Don't want to do it solo. Like let's kind of create this framework and see what works. But we saw the biggest thing for us was like, none of us wanted to sell like, hey, buy this thing and go away. We're like, the only way you succeed in any of the things we're trying to teach, like we've started with content for brands, for personal brands, but we have a number of things we're interested in. Like the only way to do that is built with. It's like you have to be building with. And so we're like, all right, what does an MVP of that look like? Like how do we do like a 30-day program like this? And we're on like session 16 or something, and it's gone really well.
That's great. Did your audience when you introduced Cut 30 or introduced like paid digital content, how did they feel about that? Did you get positive feedback, negative feedback? Like what was that journey like?
We kept it a lot in the background.
Okay.
So basically it was kind of the funnel where it was like, we're not making big videos, like buy my thing. It is like, is at the bottom on the email funnel, like you've gone through everything, you signed up for the list, and now you're getting promoted. So we started there because it's like, cool, let's talk to the advocates first. And then once we had enough success stories, we were like, very eager to talk about it. And now it's more front and center, but now it's just casual. Like we'll talk about it all the time. It's like, oh, this person who's in Cut 30, this, that. And I think that because of the credibility, like I've never gotten any kind of negative feedback or anything, but we were very conscious at the beginning. I think there is that conversation, that stigma. And I think all of that gets solved with success stories.
Yeah. It's also interesting. I think it's like the funnel, but also segmentation. Like you introduce these concepts to somebody once they've gone through a bunch of hurdles. You're like, okay, these people are looking for something. Like, let me feed that kind of like that demand out there with supply of what you're putting out there. So I think that nuance and that business acumen is kind of pretty pivotal in that, right?
Well, also I look at it, I was actually talking to a creator who was in Cut 30 prior, who was talking about trying to monetize his audience. He built an audience around photography and lighting for photography.
Yeah, of course.
And I was like, look, you can do so much in a video, but a lot of people want the full solution.
Yeah.
You can show them how to do it. They want you to help them build the lighting for this set or for their next shoot. And I'm like, that is a digital product you can sell that you have basically built the demand for, that you don't have to feel bad about it. That's what they want.
Yeah.
And you want to be paid for your time, and they will happily pay for it.
That's right.
Like, just do that. And how do you test it? Like, be like, hey, cool, I got 2 slots, and send that just to your email newsletter, and I'm trying this out. And like, that is such a natural way. People just overthink it. They think if they make this big jump or not. I think there's a lot of validation you can do with your community.
Yeah. Do you think about sustainability at all? Like in terms of like, you're an entrepreneur, you're like a business person, obviously, right? Yeah. Did you think about that when you're thinking about these digital products or things like that? It gives you like, how did you think through that?
Yeah, exactly. So Cut 30 is a like 30-day either learn or get better at social media.
Yeah.
And we thought about it being like, hey, we don't want it to be just TikTok or just Instagram or just whatever, primarily for that. We're like, the algorithms are going to change.
Yeah.
How do we create something that can change with that?
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the biggest thing is, and also how do we create something where 6 months later, if you did it before and everything's different, we can come back in and still have you like learn something and be in the mix. And so that's why, again, we just really focus on the community element of it. Being like, how do you create a framework to teach people? But then how as a community do you make something where you can like interact and grow on top of? And that's why like we do our curriculum in Kajabi, but like having the Slack portion of it, having live calls.
Yeah.
There's this whole, I think, notion that people want to have these whole hands-off money printing businesses. And I just don't think that's the reality. The reality is like building community together, and then just also realizing that what you're teaching is going to shift and that you have to be on top of that. And and what's helpful is I have to be on top of that as a creator already and as a business person already. So why not like take that next step to have that in community?
Yeah. Cut 30's, it's cohort based, right? Versus evergreen. Like, how did you think about those two things? It sounds like community was probably a part of it, but how did you think about making the call?
Some of the time where we didn't want to be always on. So it's like, cool, we know we're on for 30 days and then like there's time off because everyone's busy. But also it's a sales mechanism. Like at the end of the day, like to be involved in this thing, to be in like, there's X amount of time, there's a deadline for it. That is like a powerful sales tool.
It keeps people going too. It's either you're going to do it or you're not.
Well, and also, it's 100 max every time. So there's not like, and we realize, okay, maybe we can't scale that business to the sky, but it's a good business the way it is. People will know they get the value. It's not an overwhelming amount. And so it's like, there is like genuine scarcity because like, we're not going to go over that, you know?
Yeah. When you talk about the team you had, I think you said you had 7 people. Like, what are they focused on? Like, how do you structure your organization?
Oh, yeah. So all part-time, and they're just supporting in various things. Okay. So there is editing support. There's someone who comes and helps me shoot videos and longer form content. I have management that helps do all the brand deals and negotiations and send everything out. I have one person that purely helps on like research and like more VA type stuff. And then I have a full-time person who helps, like they make content for brands I work with and like work on other things there. Yeah. And so it's really just about filling the slots. And I actually think it could be a much bigger team, but I need to be ready for that. Like I need to have the time to support it. You know, one thing, I had interviewed Gary Vaynerchuk when I was in Cannes, and he has 2 guys who are like CRM. Yeah. They just manage his relationships. Like he's going to show up here. He's going to do that. He should know about this creator. He should know about that. And I was like, I need that tomorrow. Yeah. Right. You know? And so you start to see these roles that don't traditionally exist. You want to build your team and it's kind of coming up ad hoc, you know, but then how do you hire for that or train for that? So there's these big existential, things that come up. Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting because a lot of creators, we talk about this a lot. It's like, part of it is like you want to keep the team small and nimble and tight, and you want to give yourself the flexibility as a creator to not have some like big operating cost structure. And then part of it is like, what are they doing? What purpose are they serving? Like, how are they helping you fulfill like the demands of your audience too? Yeah. And so that's fascinating to see. Like, how did Kajabi come into your life? Like, like, we'd love to obviously selfishly love to learn how you learned about Kajabi.
Kajabi is a big part of my life.
So. So let's talk to us about that.
So we created Cut 30. We ran the first, I think, 10 or so cohorts in this combination of like these are basically big Notion docs you get access to in Slack and whatnot. And then we were like, this is not an ideal customer experience. We need to professionalize this. And we need to also have it be as straightforward as possible for us to be able to like tag and segment and move people between. And we want to add more sophisticated stuff like challenge funnels and things. And so Colin, who's one of the two guys I work with on that, who is he's like a former like CTO type. And so he was like, cool, I'm gonna make the full matrix of all the options that are available. And we're like, cool, whatever you pick on the other side, and he picked Kajabi. And so then I've lived in that. And then once you build the flow, right? Once you like, all right, we have the person that makes the landing pages, we know how this works. We're all in it every day. Like I'm doing a new program coming up, and it's in Kajabi, same thing at a different ticket level. But yeah, we compared them all and you came out on top. So congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. We'll take it. Let's go back to the funnel a little bit. Like describe to me again, like I know you went through it quickly, but like how do you think about your funnel versus like think about for a launch? There's the social stuff, there's the wait list, there's the audience building. Like what does that look like? Like how do you build into that moment that creates hopefully for you great success, not just like on the launch, but things thereafter?
And so it starts, so like, email is a huge part of this. And like the number one thing that I think most creators need to be doing is pushing more to their email. And then my pro tip there is like, just my emails, which we send every week for now as his own business, is like, it's just basically the deeper dive of my videos. Here's this concept fleshed out. That's all it is.
How do you do that? Do you mention it in a video? You're like, hey, click on this link and the call to action.
ManyChat's amazing for this too. But it's just, look, it's perpetually in the bio. And I just mention it all the time. It's like, hey, if you want all the links to the stuff I mentioned will be in here. That's an easy one because people people are too lazy to hunt stuff down. And then also just like, hey, I can only do so much in 60 seconds. I will go deeper into this here and people do and love it. And so it started with email. All three of us had pretty big email lists when we started this. And so it's like, hey, we're selling there, that's easy. And you can basically bring people down into it, explain we're doing this thing. It's one section of a 3-section email, great. But then over time, we expanded that to be its own email list where it's just talking about things relative to Cut 30 and it's kind of always on. And so we have a funnel around getting people on that. And so challenge funnel is what we do currently. And so if you're not familiar with the challenge funnel, it's 3-day or 7-day, hey, come complete a thing with me that's free or low ticket. And that gets a lot of people in the pipeline, then get to experience what it's like working with you. And also to get a result or see other people get a result. And we keep those people on the email list, right? And so that email list is a 5-figure list now. And we're providing them with value consistently and updates on each current cohort. And it's not like a hard sell, but we know that every time we do a new one, those people are there, they've been educated, they've been nurtured, and we're continuing to give them, like, we vary the challenge funnel. It's like, cool, there'll be a new one in next month. They get to try it again. If you run 7 of those for free and never buy anything, it doesn't bother me. If you succeeded and you have wins from it, like, great, that only helps us. And so we have looked at email as kind of like the primary way to build that is like, we'll get attention from our posts, we will get them into there, and then they will convert over time if we just continue to provide value.
You know, one of the things, and I think we talked about this briefly, it's like, how do you validate an idea before you put all your blood, sweat, and tears into it, right? And so a lot of our creators, we talk to them about just put the idea out there, like to your point, like put content out there that's free, drives hopefully some of that traffic or that audience goes to a landing page or whatever, and you'll kind of see an early version of, hey, here's an idea on the landing page. Do we get buy-in or not? Do people give you their name, phone number, email address?
You get emails from a PDF. It's like the #1 way to validate everything, right? Like, I put this resource thing out for free. Will you just exchange your email? And then you can start to work back. Okay, can I get one of those 100 people to buy something? And you should try that. Be like, hey, I made the more expanded version of this. Send those people, DM, whatever. Okay, someone paid money. Once that first Stripe hit, whatever, the first thing hits, then you realize that it's all just kind of like a numbers game. And are you providing something useful enough? Because that's really what it comes down to for any of these creators is like, is what you make actually useful for somebody?
Do you think that is like essentially like a digital download or a PDF or something? Like, what other things do you think is like the minimum viable digital product people should be putting out there? That would give them the like, hey, there's signal here to go do something.
So I think the two most straightforward ones are, okay, everyone wants a community. And even if it's small, people always think you have to have some big community. You get 10 people paying you $20 a month, whatever. Those are people that are really invested in building something with you, and you can learn a lot from them and what they're looking for. And so that ability to be in somewhere and chat with people and prompt people is like a great level 1. And then like the PDF with videos where I just always encourage it to be, don't be intangible. Be like, give me everything I need to do a thing. Help me complete a task. I need to be able to light my home studio. I need to be able to, be able to lift 30% more of my triceps in 30 days as a 50-year-old male, whatever, like get to qualifiers and like get people down there and help them achieve a result. And I think there's kind of infinite stuff there. And then also don't overthink the price points. Like you can figure out price later. Like, will someone buy it for $40 or whatever? Like, and start somewhere small and figure out the economics once you validated it.
When you think about your community, I think there's this interesting dynamic around communities, which is like, one, the people are coming to the community because of you. Like they want access to Oren John and kind of him hopefully being in there one way, shape, or form. The other part of it is like they're interacting with other people who are into the same thing, which I think is almost more powerful.
Agreed.
Like, how do you think about that dynamic? And also, how do you think about cultivating that community over time?
Yes, actually, that's been the biggest ripple effect of doing the things that we've done in Cut 30 has been the like sub-communities that have grown out of that. Because what we'll notice is every time there'll be like a couple of group chats of like people that stay with it. They'll hold each other accountable longer. They become friends. And they'll like bring it up. And so we try to foster that by encouraging people to do it in the cohort. Like, drop your handle, DM other people that are into it. Like it's like part of our like homework basically is to include that in there. And then you kind of get this, there's like a psychological element to it too, of like memetics and like things where you're like, hey, if people start using the same terms or addressing the same, they begin to feel like
nomenclature.
So we do it like the easiest one is a wins chat, you know, where you're like, hey, no matter when you have access to the wins chat forever. If you ever have anything you consider to be something you're proud of, there's a community there to do that. And we will all be stoked for you. That's a one that we have that's been great and I highly recommend for anybody. And then just like kind of like having those terms, having people be stoked about it and feel proud of it. And a lot of that just comes down to the energy you bring. Like we have two types of calls we do. One's like a live call, it's like a training, and then one's called an office hours. You can come with any question you have about it. We're on there. It's like very candid. It's a smaller group usually, and people get to really like dive into actual things they have, and that access level and that talking and us being stoked to be there versus like being like, here I am again, like makes a huge difference.
With communities, it takes a lot of like, sometimes people are afraid of them because they're like, oh God, you got to like be in them more often. Like you just do a course that's paced. It's like, oh, that sits there and people do it whenever they want or on demand. A community takes like, almost it's like a garden where you got to kind of go in there and prune and interact with it and grow it. Have you found that to be the case? Or you like, how do you guys think about managing that community?
Yes, we've thought about that a lot. But I think it's, you choose your own adventure on a lot of this. What happens is people don't have a plan and they feel pressure to be in there all the time, or they don't want to be in there all the time. And one I love, there's a guy, his name's Justin. He helps creators sell sponsorships. That's his like info. And he has a community, or he has some offer where it's like, you have access to me on Tuesday. He's like, Tuesday I'm in Slack all day, all night. Like I will answer anything. And I was like, okay, that's a great example where it's like, hey, you choose your community level of involvement. If it's like Tuesdays, like you can say that. I think that's how I look at it in Cut 30 is like, I drop ideas for people to try on their content, like about 3 times a week. It's one thing I do that is always in there. It's a commitment I know I can make, and I have a catalog of them that I continue to build out. And then we each have our kind of daily commitments with the team of what looks in there. But if you plan that and you go like, all right, I know I'm committed to this. It is on my calendar. It's way easier to approach it and be like, you know what? I have 7 30-minute slots. I'm committed to this. Then you begin to, and I'm doing X and Y. Then you're like, okay, that's just tasks. But if you have this big intangible out there you didn't plan for, that's this community, that's where the problem is. So I would encourage people to set the expectation from the start of what people expect when they get in it, and then have that planned out and then know what that time looks like and make it something manageable for you.
What you're describing is like you're a marketer, right? And like knowing marketing in this world is precisely like what people need to like recognize. It's not just about, oh, I go out there and build content. It's like, oh, I'm a marketer.
I now have to think about the funnel and retention.
Exactly.
And, the stuff that like is innate when you're a marketer, and then foreign if you're not.
I totally right. And what we're seeing in our customer base and just the creator economy in general is like this general sophistication of the creator, right? Like 5 years ago, people were like, oh, I'm a creator. I'm going to build content and I want followership to smash this, blah, blah. And like all I got was followers. But then that leads to nowhere. It's like a road to nowhere. And you're not able to build a business around it. It's not sustainable. And so what we've seen is people start getting more and more sophisticated around, okay, these social media platforms are great for X, Y, and Z. Like super awesome at audience building, great place to find my people, some version of that. But translating those people into customers that you provide value to, that then you can charge for, and then you can build sustainability around. That is like a mind shift that's happening. I think it's proliferating.
People are much savvier on it now that, hey, I don't need 1 million followers. I need 40,000 in a niche, and I can actually make way more.
And we see that every day. Like we've done like $10 billion of creator revenue has been generated on Kajabi, right? Like $2 billion a year, and it's growing every year. And we're always like, this is incredible.
And it's just starting.
It's just starting. Yes. And it's such a fascinating place to be. But the success happens when people are like, okay, I'm no longer just a creator per se, but there's an entrepreneurial side of this. Like I got to turn on my business acumen. I got to think of myself as a marketing person.
Then you have all this, okay, now not only do I have to learn CapEx and OpEx and all this other stuff, but then I also have to learn the marketing end of it and the funnel.
And we have Brendan Bouchard's on our platform. He's made $100 million on Kajabi. His real thing is like, it's funnels. It's like thinking about yourself like a marketer in the funnels. And it's not about extracting value from the end audience. It's about putting them down funnels that make sense for them, that you're providing them value at the right moment. And when you're describing segmentation, all these things, we see that all the time.
Well, and then LTV, that's the biggest one.
Yes, lifetime value.
I talked to a lot of these, like the big info gurus, because I'm like angling towards that. And they're just like, look, like if you get someone in for 1,000, it's a start of your funnel.
Right.
And they're like, what that looks like, especially as these people progress in like their career and you're doing through that, they're like, there's a lot of these programs like Agora and those people that have like their goal, the LTV goal is 6 figures. And you're just like, all right, that's a whole different game.
That's a whole
per
different
customer.
Per customer. And it's like, it's paying forever. But the cool thing about it, again, we goes back to like, there's this business side of being a creator, but also for us in the knowledge, experience, and expertise world, there's this transformation side that people who actually digest the content and are willing to pay and are willing to do stuff, they end up like actually their lives can change. Like you can actually impact like how their careers do, like how much money they make, like all that. That is like magic where you're able to make a living and change people's lives. I think that's really, I don't know, unique about kind of the business that you guys build and how, you know, like.
Well, that transformation is like what, that's what you're, that's the goal for everything. Right?
That's what gets you up in the morning. That's it's fascinating part of it. But anyway, it's really super cool to think through like the tactical elements of like, it's really about marketing and providing fantastic value at the end of that, but knowing how to market the stuff you're putting out there is a huge part of being successful in this new kind of creator economy, which is great. Going back to that, like when you think about when you first started, like, you know, what would you wish you could go back and tell yourself now when you first started that you didn't know when you were getting going?
I think to think bigger about the size of the opportunity. I just didn't realize it could be such a life-changing thing.
Yeah.
Every step along the process, I always keep being like, oh, I'm thinking too small. Every single time. And a lot of that is about your perception of yourself, which has to change a lot when you become a creator. I never pictured myself in that role, right? And some people do. Some people have that vision of themselves. Like I didn't. So I do think it's just like, hey, have a much larger outlook on that. And then the second thing is just like give more away. Like don't ever feel bad about like giving whatever it is away. You're never going to sell off like the thing or the playbook or the list like that. If don't ever gatekeep that, the thing that is actually sellable is the community and the working together to solve the problem.
What evolved for you over time? That got you to think bigger? Like, were there moments in time you were like, this hit, oh my gosh, or was it something like?
It's just more, I think it's just watching the creator zeitgeist around it, right? And you kind of keep seeing these things change and, well, because there's no blueprint, right? There's like, I look at it like I'm one of the bigger marketing and branding creators, but there's a chasm between me and Gary Vaynerchuk and Alex Hormozi, people that are like this huge, like next generation of that, like the Seth Godins of the world. And there's nobody in the middle. And so you're like, cool, your blueprint is very different. They all did this in a different generation. And so you don't have anything to look to. There's no map. And so that's where when you make the map, or at least for me, it's like, I think this very tactical, here's what this natural next step is. When in reality, you do a lot better, like really swinging for it.
Was there ever a time where you like, were about to not do something, but you did it anyway and it turned out to be huge? Like, have you thought about that? Like a decision you almost didn't make that actually hit for you?
I almost don't publish videos constantly. Here's the biggest thing you battle as a creator is like last night, I didn't have a video for today and it was like, I could go to sleep or I could make the video. And you were just constantly in that war with yourself. So I almost think like that's just like a natural day to day where it's like, if you're the kind of person who ends up every time you're in that issue, you do it every time. Then that's kind of like the transformation. So that I've never had like the big thing that I've ended up like changing or not. It's been more that smaller piece, but the biggest one for me was when TikTok was going to get banned potentially. It was like, should we go on YouTube or not? And we ended up doing it. And then also it was, okay, TikTok's not going to get banned. Should we continue doing YouTube? And we did. And then that's now turned into probably one of the best like things I have in my mix, which we honestly we might be considering now if there hadn't been a TikTok ban. And I was like, man, that was an interesting moment to reflect on.
Maybe take it the other way. Like, was there something that you had like high conviction around and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be awesome, and it didn't hit? Like, how did that go?
Being a full-time creator?
Even that. And then also like, what are your lessons from that?
My biggest lesson was I need structure in a day. And I think once you have had some of these jobs, like I've had those executive jobs where every half hour was blocked for 10 hours a day for like years. And then when I didn't have that, I thought I would be effective and I just wasn't. You know? And so I was like, and so not only do I have like, I work with a group now, but I work with a group that's on the East Coast. So I'm like, give me as many 7 a.m. meetings like as you humanly can, right? Because I want to be like at there and like attentive and like have a structure is actually like a really massively useful thing. So that was something that, again, you just don't know about yourself. You think you can operate in one environment and the other, and you're like, you know what? Like I actually need structure. It was interesting for me.
Like maybe another way to think about this is like, what's like a really hard lesson you learned in a really expensive way?
You know, I don't think I've had any like L's in that in that nature, which is interesting. But I do think, like there hasn't been like any like this big negative thing or this or that. And also, I'm also not attached to a lot. I think that's the other point. It's like if I kind of look at it like if I waste up to $1,000, $2,000 on anything that in general could have propelled something forward,
it's not another world.
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Which I think that I do see that a lot of people like are so attached to it's different when it's a creator where you're like, that's why I think creators make bad clients if you're like an agency or whatever, because it's their money. It's not the business's money. And there's a huge difference between those two things. And I think that a lot of people I do see make that mistake of like keeping everything too tight when you have to really treat it. Like I also, even now, we treat it like a business. Like I have a marketing budget based on this. And like a lot of people don't make that same connection that like, hey, I should have my 8% or 12% or 16% if I'm in war mode that I'm spending on marketing the same way a business would. It's hard to think about like that for yourself. And I made that transition maybe 9 months ago or so. And that was a big difference.
Yeah. Give your background in like actual, like working at companies, working at businesses. A lot of the times people learn like I think about myself even, like a lot of the way I think is because of my formative training. Like my first couple of jobs out of college, I learned a lot. I'm sure it's similar to you. Like, and you think about things as like, okay, this is how it works. For you, like what's one of the things or a couple of the things that like, you're like, oh, for sure, this is how I'm going to be when I'm an entrepreneur, that like landed flat or didn't work, that you like just didn't translate from what you had learned to like your current way of going about building a business?
That's a really interesting question. I'm trying to think of I think just a linear path to how do you become, like how do you rise in your career, right? And it's like you do this for X amount of years, you work at this type of company, when really it all revolves around like putting yourself in the areas where you can learn what the new thing is or learn what where the thing is going. I feel like now versus when I was like starting my career, if you are like, I'm going to be the best at X, that's no longer, or I'm going to do 5 years of experience in X, that's no longer going to matter. It's almost going to be commodified by the time you get there. Like the ball keeps moving. And so it's like, how do you put yourself in, whether it's startups or whether it's a role that you're like kind of too big for you, out of your depth at, or whatever it is, like, how do you get ahead of that seems to be like the most critical thing.
One of the things we always talk about, and a lot of creators, particularly people who've had success, is people are like, man, this guy's awesome. He's done X, Y, and Z, all these really big highs. Like, what are some of your lowest lows, if you wouldn't mind sharing on the journey that you've been on? So like I've had a lot of it came through work. Like a lot of these companies, you build your time, you do a lot for equity, especially when you're working at startups and whatever, and it just doesn't work out. And I had that hit like again and again and again. And it's funny, I've had friends that have had big wins and big acquisitions. I've had like some small wins. And then just some brutal, like we had a company got bought by a public company, and before our lockup ended, the stock went to zero. And I had like close to $2 million in there. Like, there's like things like that just like crush you, and like, and the decisions that led to that, and like what those pieces look like. And so I've had like a lot of those where you're just like, you put all your time in, you get your equity, you do your thing, and then you become so caught up in someone else's bubble. And that was a big part of why creator life was appealing, where it's like, at some point you have to grab control of your own destiny. And look, if you've gotten some wins and you can get more, maybe you don't have to. But for me, I was like, I can't no longer have, all this energy I put out there in the universe, like being under the control of like where someone else is going to put those dollars. It's hard. Sounds like you talk to a lot of creators too, like the people who surround you. Like, what are 2 or 3 things that you think creators need to unlearn in order to actually build businesses?
So I talk to a lot of creators. I like to cultivate having a group of that. Because again, there's no other roadmap. And so the best way is is to learn around it. And the number one is to treat it like a business, where it's like budget like a business in terms of like, oh, you have marketing, you have operations, you have some of these other things. Like your business is a funnel. Your business needs all these traditional things like retention and accounting, all the things that come with that. So the first is to like actually build like that versus build like a personality. Like, don't think of yourself as a celebrity. And that's the problem, is you start to feel like I'm an actor or I'm an athlete. That's not what you are. You are a business. And I think that's that's number one. And then number two is to then be like, what does that look like? Like really look at that 10-year vision of that. Because I think the creators I see that get caught up the most or have the hardest time is they're creating something where the 5-year plan isn't there, because it's it's too much entertainment or too much only relying on one platform, and it's not enough about like them or about like where they could go. And that's what I've been thinking about a lot as well. And why business creation is nice is that you can be doing a similar thing in 10 years, in 15 years, but you'll be at a different chapter.
When you think about like the arc of your career, what you've been doing, like, there's always these big milestones. Like sometimes people don't get time to like sit back and be like, man, this was awesome, or like have the ability to even pause and celebrate. Like, are there milestones along the way where you're like, oh my God, this is happening? Or like moments where you're like, this is real. And I'm like, and how did you celebrate that? Or how did you think about that? Did you realize that at the time?
I think, so a couple of them, I spoke at like the Notion conference, and that was a big one where I'm like, I've just used this software forever. And then now I'm like there doing that. And that was like an odd one. It's like not, I'm not on the stage at some like big inaugural thing, but I was like, oh, this that was really compelling. And then just some of the numbers, like I hit 500K on Instagram the other week, and I was just like, that's just a shocking amount of people. Like you just don't have any kind of concept of like what that really looks like. And And then I think one of the funnier ones was seeing like my son get tired of people recognizing me in public.
Nice.
And to be like, okay, like enough of this. Like, and you start to see like, okay, when it goes from being cool to be like, no, this is not, this is no longer. But but it's all like these subtle things, right? It's all this kind of realization. And then also just, you get to start to understand the power of something where you're like, hey, anything you say on the internet resonates, or it gets 30,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 people to listen. There's like a weight that comes with that too. Like I remember I make a lot of jokes in my content. I call out a lot of brands, and I'm fine calling out a big brand, like they deserve it. But I called out a small brand one time and made kind of a mean joke, and then like immediately felt absolutely terrible about it. And I was like, what am I doing? And then kind of moved through that. But that was me coming to grips with like, hey, this isn't like a fun little thing on the internet. If you say something, it should be to someone that should be held accountable and never at someone's expense.
I mean, because you have influence and people trust you, and then all of a sudden you're impacting like maybe a small brand that you didn't necessarily mean to.
Well, that energy is hard too. Even now, like, so I make a lot of videos where I will like call out a company for something that they're doing bad, then compare it to a company doing something good. But anytime you put any negative energy into the world, is like very hard, especially when it's going like to a far place. And there's like that wears on you, like mentally and spiritually, and it should. And that's another thing too, where like you're not taught to deal with that. I've never like, that's not something that comes up when you're a graphic designer. You know? So,
that's cool. That's cool. If you think about like the evolution, like think about the rest of 2025, 26, 27, like how do you imagine your business kind of scaling, shifting, and particularly the funnels? Like, how do you think about like tactically what you're going to be changing over the next 6, 12, 18 months? Obviously AI is playing a role in this. How does that, like, we'd love to spend some time talking about that and what you think the future looking like.
Yeah, sure. So actually, I've been thinking a lot about this related to both how I sell things, how people get value from me and from AI as well. And to me, it's really about like, I just feel like so many of these existing models are kind of not going away, but they're shifting. So
what do you mean by exactly?
So services, that's the number one thing people are always like, that's probably the way you can make the most money as a creator. If I was to say, I have marketing services right now, you could hire me to strategize in your content funnel and your campaigns, that would give me the most revenue. I do not want to do that. And so that is it. Sometimes I don't want to do it because I don't enjoy the work or like the work or that the volume isn't there. It's because I think that fulfillment mechanism is kind of a bad place. Like the difference between like how agencies function and service people versus how companies need to kind of work now, and what it takes to processize something when things move so fast. I think it's a complicated model. And so I'm like, what does that model really look like? And I think it's more akin to the community model, where it's like, here's these things that are happening, here's how you use them, and then here's people you could actually engage in a conversation with who understand what you're going through and work on it. That's more valuable in a lot of cases than a full services model. So that's one thing I've been thinking about, is like, how do you engineer those communities, right? How do you get these really passionate people about whatever these things are that are happening, and then use that as like a monetization vehicle? And then the AI portion of it has been really interesting. So we've built a bunch of custom GPTs for Cut 30 that help solve like tactical problems. Be like, hey, we have a story and we want to turn it into a hero's journey for a carousel, or we want to like do X or Y. Like, here's some ways you can kind of think about that. We want to get a tone of voice for a brand we can map into angles for ads, like things of that. And it's okay. It's like not amazing. And so I'm very curious to be like, does it get good enough where it is amazing? And then kind of what does that look like and how do you facilitate it? But that's been the complicated part, is you're watching this stuff all change. And you're like, I don't want to lean into one business model until you see closer where the puck is going.
A lot of questions I get a lot of the times is about like the commoditization of digital content, right? Like you can now create content at like a keyboard. And people are like, is that like a headwind or tailwind for our business? And I always think about it like, it's actually a fantastic like tailwind, in the sense of, you know, for us at the end of the day, it's individuals who have knowledge, experience, and expertise who are putting it out there, building a brand around that, and are able to resonate with an audience that like in their niche, right? And they're in their niche because, you know, they represent something. Like I always tell the story where I have a CEO coach who I absolutely love. He's the ex-CEO of a Quantive before, and then after that was the CEO of Pandora. And when I talked to him, you know, he says stuff that I could read on like a blog, but because he said it, because he sold a company for billions of dollars to Microsoft or whatever it was, I kind of sit up and I listen. And I think that dynamic is going to play a massive role in the creator economy going forward. It's like what the brand represents and the ability for the creator to build an actual brand. Like, how do you think about that in your business as time goes forward?
Yeah, so I've thought about this a lot because I have like clones. I have people that take my video style, put it in ChatGPT and just run the same stuff. And that is and they do pretty well.
Yeah, that's like the great commoditization of stuff, right?
And so then it's like, okay, what really differentiates it? And then, and so I think about this 3 ways. And so like the first is like character. Like you need to have a character that is worth watching, right? And so it's actually funny. there's a brand called Midday Squares. They have like this really interesting content. They make like CPG chocolate bars. But they have this theory when they explain their content where they're like, hey, we're mashing 3 things together. It's a combination of Elon Musk, reality TV, and one other thing. And you watch their videos and you see that they're looking at these like out of the box examples. Yeah. And so I'm like, if you're building a character, I'd rather look at, like Stephen A. Smith or like those personalities to create a character than any other creator, right? Because like, you're like, okay, how do you become Seinfeld or whatever or this person on reality TV or Bravo Andy? Like that is what a creator goal should be like. That's what they should look to. So you have character is kind of number 1. And then number 2 is world, right? Where if anyone can make that same content, how do you bring them into a world when you engage with this? And how I've been working on this is a lot's collaboration. So you'll see I have skits with like most of the other marketing creators. We'll just like do something fun. And we'll like make a collaboration video, whatever. We are collaborative with each other. So you can hear, oh, these guys run this podcast. These people have this business. Oh, he's with this woman doing an interview in this place. And so they'd be like, oh, I'm coming into almost like a TV show, right? And so it's like, if you're a part of that and that's something that like is engaging, you're entering into a web, and algorithms are really good with that web. They know if one person sees the other, they were with them, they will show you more of it. And so it's like, all right, if you're participating in that, that's a power, right? So you have characters, then you have world. And the last is that community element, right? Where if anyone can duplicate anything, are you giving people a real place to be, to hang out, to get value from? And I think that's it. Because to your point, you could go learn pretty much anything that any person is saying online. You can put in ChatGPT or put into YouTube and get for free. And so how do you drive a difference from that? Given it's all changing so much, like what's one thing you learned this year that you're going to try and apply to your business next year that's going to change kind of the way you go about things? I think that the personality one is the most interesting. Well, I think the biggest thing I learned this year was looking at the changing nature of media. Where I was like, I really this year got complete conviction in like, there is no television show, property online, that you're reading anything on that is getting as much eyeballs or has as much impact as short form and long form social media content. Got it. And and all those eyeballs that are still there are just going to shift over time. And you kind of watch it. You can see, oh, your parents were reading the New York Times. Well, now they're watching a geologist on YouTube and paying for his retreat. Like that is happening. This shift is moving. And with that shift is an immense amount of dollars and attention. And so, but then you have to think about how are you replacing that? And so instead of like this last year, I was very tactical. It's like, hey, let's make a video about like how you set up your email marketing funnel. But that's not replacing media in that way. I want to give people that same information, but it should be more cloaked in like what's an entertainment experience that they would watch as opposed to watching TV or reading like Puck or whatever it is. Like how can you give them that and structuring it that way? And so I'm trying to think of everything like that now. How do you think about like, even for your own business, like how do you scalability or sustainability for you to be able to do this for the long term? Like what is your like work-life, not balance or integration? Like how do you think about that piece of it? Because a lot of creators, they go down this journey like full head of steam and they kind of putter out really quickly because it's hard to like build this thing for the long term. Like, how do you think about that? Well, I think a lot of people don't want to have teams or staff, and you have to. I think you can make a great solo business if you really want to, but it's kind of miserable, and you should just bite the bullet and be like, I'm going to have teams and people, and it's going to make everything more rewarding at the end of the day. So like that's number 1. But number 2 is just understanding the size you want to get to. Like Cut 30, we have a max, right? But that's fine. We know what that looks like. We know the time commitment. We know the process around it. And so now I'm kind of looking at what are the other things you can add on top of that. But the most interesting thing about being a creator is that you can't just hire any person because they don't have the experience relevant to you. And so really it's about training. And it's about how do you make processes for what you do? How do you make SOPs? How do you find people and bring them through it? But that's where the community comes. Like the people that run Cut 30 with us now are Cut 30 graduates. People, is that right? Yeah. 2 of the people on my team are people that came from Cut 30 that I was just like, oh, you now know what I need you to know. Oh, amazing. Now I pay you far more than you paid for that. That's amazing. And I think that's a lot of where I think creators should be looking at, like your community is the number 1 source for you to build that out. And I know a lot of people are almost afraid of being like, oh, well, I don't want anyone weird or who knows too much about me or is like a super fan. I'm like, you kind of have to, there's no line anymore. And again, we're not celebrities for that point. And so it's like, how do you find that those are the best people who actually care about what you're building, and how do you train them and engage them and put you on your team? And I think it's going to look more like these like small community / like almost friend groups that build these businesses than more traditional ones for creators. That's amazing. Okay, Oren, we got this section on creator commerce called This or That, self-explanatory. I read you 2 things, you do this or that. All right. Let's rock. Email lists first or social media first? Social media first. Business books or YouTube videos? Ooh, that's a very hard one. I'd say YouTube videos. Why? I just think that there's something to like being able to go dive deeper into what that person said and like validate it that, versus just like, oh, I read this in a book and now I have to go on the internet and find it out and like kind of go down the rabbit hole. I feel is valuable. Cool. Messy launch or delayed perfection? I'm messy launch all day. You got to build and then A lot of people just delay permanently. Whereas like if you go and now you have skin in the game and you're just refining constantly, I know I'm always like that.
Great. 100K spent on ad spend or 100K spent on a creative team?
I would go creative team first.
Creative team first. Right. 6 figures in brand deals or 6 figures in digital products? Loaded question.
I would say digital. As someone who makes more on brand deals, I would say digital products. Yeah.
Why?
Because I feel like you're building yourself up for like those sales will be 5x those sales later.
Yeah.
Versus interrupting the feed like again to sell somebody something.
Yeah. Think about a little bit of like lifetime value or LTV right there.
That means there's more money down the line.
Yeah. Great. DIY branding or hire early?
Hire early. I think now that presentation means more than everything.
1 killer course or multiple small offers?
1 killer course.
Follow the data or follow your gut?
It depends who you are, but if you are creating and you're really thinking intimately about like, you're seeing the nuances in the networks and you're beginning to like see the matrix for lack of term, you go with the gut.
Scale fast or grow slow and steady?
Scale fast. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity where you get free views on the internet. It's not going to last forever.
YOLO. Teach live or teach evergreen?
Ooh, I believe teach live.
Yeah.
I just think now everything is changing too much and you need personal connection and you do not, it's replaceable if you're evergreen.
Great. You talked about this a little bit, but one platform focus or omni-channel?
Get good at one thing and then omni.
A high ticket offer or low ticket volume?
High ticket offer.
Sell your company one day or create a lifestyle business you can run on your own terms?
This is one I think about a lot. And I think that whenever you have the opportunity to sell, you should take it.
Okay. So we love to end Creator Commerce every week with asking the guests to talk to our audience and give them one homework assignment they can complete in their next week that builds on kind of the content we talked about, the things we talked about.
All right, perfect. So I want you to make a lead magnet this week. So I want you to take your most valuable video you've ever made. It doesn't have to be your most liked, but the one where you actually gave the most to somebody. And I want you to turn that into a PDF plus a couple videos, get your landing page. You can obviously do this on Kajabi and get people to put their email in for it with some content. I think if you do that, you are on your journey to be saying, hey, I could do this all the time. And then you're also validating if people will actually give you some of their information for it, and you might surprise yourself.
Awesome. Oren John, thanks so much for coming on. Creator Commerce has been fantastic, super insightful, super educational, and we're excited to see you continue to crush it.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, for sure. One of the most interesting takeaways from my conversation with Oren was his framing of content TAM, the total addressable market for your content and your ideas. We usually talk about TAM in terms of products, but Oren brought this thinking up to the very top of the funnel. The idea is simple but powerful. By adapting your idea to how it's communicated, whether through a long form, short form, video, or written, you expand the number of people who can engage with it. That expansion widens the top of your funnel, which in turn creates more opportunities for your entire business. Huge thanks to Oren for joining and to you for listening to Creator Commerce. Until next time. Creator Commerce is produced by Ash Jones, Robin Hopkins, and Kate Anderson. Production support is by Kate Escarciga. Production design is by Charlene T. The show is edited by Meltem Sarichicek. Original music and sound design is by Monogram Sound. This show was filmed and recorded by Tyler Henderson and Ash Jones and is a Winston Francois production for Kajabi.